Once again on your way back home, you saw a girl that you found very attractive, but you are not able to go up to her. And it's the same every time. Whenever you see a girl that you find attractive, you want to go and say hi to her, but you can't. Something, and you can't really say what is holding you back. So in this video, I'm going to tell you how to get through that and how to exactly find the courage to approach women that you find attractive. If you don't know me, my name is Max. Nice to meet you. I've been traveling the world, I've been dating hundreds of girls, and I've been coaching guys for years. This is gonna be a long video, we're gonna go in depth, so sit back, relax, do something at the same time if you want, put this video on the background. We are going to go to the bottom of things because I know personally for me it was very hard to start approaching women. I come from a very dark place, and even if now I slept with hundreds of girls and I've done probably over 10,000 approaches, when I first started around 15 years ago it was very tough. I remember, for example, during my late high school years, maybe early university years, I was not able to talk to a woman at all, period. And I'm not even telling you about trying to pick up girls. I'm telling you that when I was 21, if a girl would come and say hi to me, I would freak out. I will try to find ways to leave the conversation. So that's how bad it was. It was very terrible. I came a long way, and along the way I noticed things that were difficult for me that I managed to overcome. And I also noticed the same things in other guys that I know, but also other guys that I coach. So today I'm going to share the real entire truth about finding the courage to approach women that you like in public with you. So first thing first, you gotta understand that nobody is born charismatic. Nobody is born comfortable, and nobody is born knowing what to do and what to say when approaching women. When you see a guy who's good with girls, it's a guy who learned by practicing it. It's a guy who learned by actually going and approaching women. If right now you're not comfortable, you're not maybe brave enough to approach girls, you're not courageous, you don't have the reflex to automatically go for it, it's because you never learned how to have that reflex. It's because you never learned how to put yourself in that emotional space where it's easy to approach women. And so there are a bunch of things in the way that are preventing you from getting in that headspace. We're gonna go towards this later. I'm gonna tell you more about this in a moment. But first, understand that if right now you feel kind of stuck, you're in a situation where you don't really find the courage to talk to girls, things get better. Because in a sense, it's pretty much like going to the gym. At the beginning, well, you're a beginner and your arms are very small. Eventually, you go to the gym and your arms get bigger and it becomes easier to lift heavier weights. With dating, it's pretty much the same. If you don't have the social skills, the social experience, and the emotional resilience, at the beginning, everything's gonna be scary and everything's gonna be hard. And truth be told, you probably also, at the time, have a very wrong understanding of what women want, what women like, and what women are like. And this just creates a cocktail of ideas and mindsets and beliefs in your mind that make it even harder to approach women. So I understand right now it sounds a little bit convoluted, a little bit confusing, but bear with me, we're gonna get there. My point is that at the beginning everything is scary and confusing and it's easy to feel discouraged. But there is a way to get there. That's why most of the time when I coach people, and you can see it through a lot of my videos, most of the time I recommend guys follow a system. Because following a system just makes it simple to just follow like a bunch of checkpoints to lead your interactions somewhere. When it's not natural for you to approach women because you're not used to it, because you don't have the experience for whatever reason, having a system makes everything easy. So I'm telling you this because very often we are afraid to go for it and we're afraid to approach just because we have no idea what to do. And it's understandable if you go up to a girl and you don't know what to do, you don't know what to talk about, well, you might end up bothering her or looking silly, making a fool of yourself, saying something stupid, making her uncomfortable, so on and so forth. But understand that those at the core are limiting beliefs and they come from your lack of experience. And bro, I'm gonna be honest with you, at some point you gotta learn. And it's the same for everything anyways. When you start practicing something and trying to get good at something, there is always this ungrateful part at the beginning where you're gonna look like a fool. No matter what you do, no matter how prepared you are, you're gonna make fucking silly mistakes. But also, here's the truth. Even when you're advanced, you still make mistakes because there is always more to learn. So I don't want you to think that it's ever going to be easy. That's not how it works. It's always gonna be hard, but what's gonna be different is that the more you practice, the easier for you it becomes to go through the hardship. I heard this quote a while ago and I think it's very true. When you're practicing something, either it gets easier or you become tougher and it becomes easier for you to handle hard things. When it comes to dating, I like to see things this way because the approach anxiety that you might be feeling right now when you see a girl that you find attractive, it's never gonna go away, bro. You will always feel it, even when you know what to say, even when you know how girls react because you're used to it, you're always going to feel this anxiety. This difficulty there is never going to go away, but at the same time, you gotta understand that it's normal. It's just the way your brain is wired because you're a human being and that's how your psychology evolved over the years, over the centuries, millennia, so on and so forth. But what you can get better at is managing this anxiety, managing how hard you feel it is to approach women. So in a sense, eventually it becomes easy. And I just want to put in your mind that if right now it's hard, it's gonna feel easier down the line. But there's gonna be this ungrateful period of time when you're gonna have to plow through and push through and it's not gonna be easy, but results are there. You have to trust the process. So that's one thing that in my opinion makes it way easier because I remember the first time I approached a girl on the street, this was the cringiest approach ever. But at the same time, I did maybe like 3-4 cringe approaches in the past week alone. And it was not easier, it was not less cringe, but I'm used to the fact that sometimes approaching women is kind of cringe, and I know that in the end, it's not a big deal, it's just what it is. I remember the first time I approached a girl, she was waiting for the bus, and I went up to her, I was in university at the time, so funny. I went up to her and I'm like, I don't think he's coming. And like in my mind, I was trying to make a joke, like she was waiting for her boyfriend and the boyfriend is not coming. And obviously it was totally unrelatable to her. Obviously it was mega cringe. And the girl looked at me and she was like, what? What are you talking about? Like, duh, obviously. So even though it was cringe and awkward, I explained my cringe joke and eventually I got her number. And so in essence, it was not hard in practice to lead the conversation to that. But it felt kind of cringe to me because I was not used to what I was supposed to do and I didn't know what to do basically. And the funny thing is that after the approach, I was like, damn, was it really so hard? I don't think it was so hard. I went up to a girl, I said a silly joke, then I asked for her contact. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but it's not actually that hard. And so the very first obstacle, again, that you're gonna meet when you try to get better with meeting women, you try to find courage to approach women, is that you're gonna have a hard time pushing you to do it, and then you're gonna realize that it's not actually that hard, and then you're gonna realize that the real game comes after. That is to say, displaying properly that you're attractive, leading the conversation properly towards something that's useful to you, as opposed to wasting time when you talk to girls, you know, like all those small ways to optimize things. This is actually what's difficult and technical in a sense, but finding the courage to approach girls, once you've done it, once you've figured, you're gonna realize it's so fucking easy. But right now you're in a position where it's difficult. So let me give you a few more keys to make it easy on yourself. Remember one thing, you're gonna die, okay? You're living on a flying rock going super fast while spinning on itself in space, and eventually it's going to explode, but way before that you're gonna die, and anyways, nobody's gonna remember you. I think one thing that really helped me to understand how unimportant and inconsequential it is to approach women even if I get rejected, well, what helped me was to have some kind of a near-death experience where I really felt like I was gonna die, and then I realized that there's a bunch of things that just don't matter. Like, I'm here and I feel like I'm about to die, and yesterday I was afraid because I was too scared to go up to a girl and approach her. Some things really put other things in perspective. Now, I'm not telling you to go and to have near-death experiences to put things in perspective, but I'm sharing my experience so that you see the kind of mindset shifts that there are, and so that you can hopefully put things in perspective in your own way with that knowledge. I think it's useful to understand that because very often when it's hard for a guy to approach girl, it's because the guy comes from a background that protected him when he grew up, that sheltered him when he grew up, or that traumatized him to the point where he never actually tried to put himself out there. And those things are not really normal, and those things are preventing you from reaching your full potential. And on top of that, those things are not even scary compared to what's actually out there. So just a little bit of a reframe to let you know that logically, your fear of approaching women is not logical. And yet, you understand that, but I'm sure the next time you're gonna be in front of a girl that you find attractive, you're still going to feel a resistance inside of you. So I am going to go deeper and deeper. I'm trying to aim broad at first, but now we're gonna get a little bit narrower towards mindsets that are a little bit more practical and immediately actionable. Okay, so next thing, girls that you're gonna approach, if they reject you, it's almost never going to be about you. Like 99% of the cases when you get rejected, it's not about you. It's always about two things, either her mood or the way you presented yourself. Her mood, you can't control it. If she's in a rush, if she's upset, if she's a feminist, you can't do anything about that. The way you present yourself, though, you have total control over it. And so, in the way you present yourself, there are a few different aspects. There are things that you are as a baseline that women will or will not find attractive, and there are things that you do through your behavior. Now, not gonna lie to you, the best way to attract women and to be seen in general as attractive is to elevate your baseline, be it in terms of your wealth, your status, your looks, your fashion style, your appearance, the way you behave, the way you come across, the way you move yourself, and the way you interact with women. Those things are more of your baseline. You can control it to an extent when you talk to a girl, but in general, it's stuff that's automatic. It's like breathing. Like the way you walk is automatic, the same way like the way you breathe, and you don't really control that when you talk to people. It's something that you have to keep in mind and you work on at all times. When you're in front of a girl, it's not really actionable, but there are things that are actionable when you're in front of a girl. For example, the way you lead the conversation and the things that you talk about. My point is not really to explain to you right now what to do and what to say, but just to tell you that those things that you have control over, that's pretty much the only thing you can manage in your interactions. And so at the end of the day, it's either like, do you have the skill set and do you apply that skill set properly in this interaction or not? Because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that you can control. If you get rejected, in most cases, it's because the girl was not open to you for whatever reason that's outside of your control, or because you failed at executing the skill set properly. It's never personal. This, for instance, helped me take a lot of pressure off of my approaches, because if on top of that you have a system that you follow when you approach girls, it boils down basically to how good are you at applying this system. You apply the system well and the girl is open to meet a guy, you win. You apply the system wrong, you lose. That's about it. It's just a skill set. I think this helps taking the pressure off very much. Now, you know this, you're gonna see a girl, you're still going to feel, okay, what do I do? What do I say? I don't wanna bother her. I don't know what to do. Should I go further? I don't know. Now she's gone. Okay, too bad. You're still going to feel that, okay? And there comes a point where you gotta decide, do I wanna push myself or not? Not kidding you, I had coaching clients in the past who had huge approach anxiety, so I gave them the simplest exercise ever. I told them, you walk on the street and you look at girls in the eyes. I had a coaching client in particular who was quite young, and he told me that even that, he couldn't do it. And the thing is that, bro, at some point, if you can't push yourself to look at strangers in the eyes, either you have huge psychological issues and trauma, and in this case, talk to a therapist, but I know in 95% of the cases, it's just the guy being lazy to get out of his emotional comfort zone. At some point, bro, you have to push yourself. You have to be okay with the fact that you might feel cringe, and you have to push yourself and go for it. A lot of guys who can't do this have a huge ego that's holding them back. And that's also why in the seduction community you can hear like all the gurus talk about how ego is the enemy because it holds you down. And I'm speaking of this with honesty, and I just literally know all about it because this guy was me. I was the biggest dickhead with the biggest ego at the time, the kind of guy who knows deep inside that he can get all the girls, but whenever he has to actually approach a girl, freaks out. That was me. So now it's very easy for me to see that in others when the ego is preventing the guy from approaching girls because the guy doesn't want to get rejected, because then it will shatter the guy's ego. And I'm telling you, if that's you, it's something that's really preventing you from getting results. I don't think most guys are like that. I don't think most guys are dickheads like I used to be, but I've noticed this often enough. Ego very often prevents guys from getting out of their comfort zone. Some guys, they don't get out of the comfort zone because they are afraid to be hurt, and they are afraid to get rejected because they don't believe in themselves and it will shatter what they feel. But some guys, they believe too much in themselves and it's based on nothing, and they don't want that to be shattered either. So what really helped me there was to really turn off my brain. It's one foot in front of the other up to the girl. When I'm in front of the girl, I say hi to the girl. By the time I said hi to the girl, I won. Whatever happens next is whatever. If she leaves, she leaves. If she stops, she stops, and I say, hey, what's up? But turning off my brain and making saying hi my goal really helped me move forward, because what's the alternative? You know, like doing a half-assed interaction where your only goal is to say hi, or not approaching the girl because you're too scared. Because you gotta understand that, well, first, dating is a numbers game. Most of your interactions are not gonna lead to anything concrete, and that's okay. That's all right. You wouldn't have the time to date all the girls you approach anyways. But at the same time, it's also a numbers game for you, because like I said earlier in the video, the more you approach women, the easier it gets. And I think a lot of guys overlook how many women you need to approach to become comfortable approaching women. It's not 10. It's not 100. It's not 1000, bro. You're not gonna be comfortable approaching women even after 1000 approaches. But it's fine, because you don't have to be very comfortable. You just have to push yourself to every time, every new approach, do better. So don't look at your number of approaches, but keep in the back of your head that you need to do a shit ton of approaches to really become good at this. And the funny thing is that you don't even need to be good at this to get results anyways. Like after 1000 approaches, you are already going to sleep with 30 to 50 girls. That's the usual odds. I'm saying this because I remember when I first started, for maybe the first 3 to 4 years, I would approach 1 or 2 women per week and be proud of myself. Now if I approach 1 or 2 girls per week, it means I'm sick. Like I'm spending the whole week at home and I barely go out to buy groceries. Like, you need to pump those numbers up, bro. 1 or 2 women a week is nothing. It's not enough to see results that you're gonna be happy with. Like the volume is just not high enough to get dates that you like. And it's not enough to grow and to get results. And I'm gonna be honest with you, what really unlocked my potential and what really got officially rid of my approach anxiety, because even if I still feel the approach anxiety, it impacts my behavior like a zero. I will always act on approaching the women I find attractive, even if I have the approach anxiety. What really helped me unlock that was to approach tons of women. And I'm not telling you 10 women per day. I'm talking about like 30, 40 women per day. I had periods when I would just go out and the whole day was approaching women. Now again, you don't have to go that hard, but if you want to get the best results and grow as fast as possible, go that hard. I think it helps to see this as you leveling up in a video game. I don't know if you play stuff like World of Warcraft or basically any RPG. At the beginning you fight maybe, I don't know, the wolves in the forest, and they are kind of easy, but you're still kind of weak, so you might die if you're not, well, careful. And the more you practice, the more experience you get, and eventually you get into the big bosses with like the flames and the explosions and everything, but you can handle yourself because you have the experience. Approaching women is pretty much the same. When you have that experience, you just become numb to the concept of approaching a stranger. And it's very funny because at the end of the day, becoming good at approaching women is more about forcing you to go through the discomfort of approaching over and over again, rather than actually learning techniques. And I think a lot of people get that the other way around, but that's wrong. It's more about you becoming comfortable, and then on top of that you add techniques. But if you start just with the techniques, you're gonna get zero results, and honestly it's gonna get you even worse results than if you never knew the techniques. I wish there was a magic pill I could just give you so that it becomes easy to approaching women, but the best you can do is tell yourself that it's not a big deal, because it really is not a big deal, and turn off your brain so that all the limiting beliefs that you might feel when you're about to approach go away. Then you lock in that mental blueprint in your brain and you repeat that every single time you find a woman attractive in public, and the more you do it, the easier it's gonna be to do it again. I really wish there was a way to make it simpler on you, bro, but the only way to find the courage to approach women that you like is to stop caring about the outcome and to be 100% focused on the process. Because by being focused on the process, this is how you grow and this is how you get better. When you focus on the outcome, the only thing it does is that it prevents you from taking any action. If I had to tell you 2 things that really make it easy for you to become better and more confident at approaching women, it will be to just go and approach every single woman that you find attractive for the purpose of practicing what you're doing when you approach her. Not to get results, not to not get rejected, but really to practice what happens when you're in front of a girl. At the end of the day, finding the courage to approach women is not about becoming better, becoming stronger, having better lines, or just being a cooler guy overall. Those things are byproducts of what will happen when you approach a lot of women. This is the indirect consequence of approaching a lot of women. But in essence, it's more about learning how to get out of your own way, how to ignore your limiting beliefs, to just put yourself in a mold that's going to shape you into a guy who doesn't care about approaching women and possibly getting rejected. Really, it's not about getting something that you don't have right now as if you would not be enough. No, you are already enough. It's about getting out of your own way and removing the limiting beliefs that are preventing you from doing what you need to be doing. I know it's counterintuitive because you might think, but if I have lines to say and I know exactly what to tell her, it's gonna be easy. Your brain is going to make you think that, but when you're in front of the girl, it's not gonna be like that. Even with the best preparation in the world, when you're in front of the girl, if you're not used and capable of pushing away the limiting beliefs that you have and all the doubts that you have, if you can't do that, even with the best preparation in the world, you're gonna freak out and you're gonna forget what you are supposed to say to the girl anyways. And even if you do remember, she's gonna see that it's not genuine, that it doesn't come off as natural. So again, I wish there was a magic pill, but through the years, I just noticed that there is no shortcut and you have to go through the pain. And getting good at this is more about finding ways to make it easy for you to go through the pain and to go through the approaches, rather than finding the magic right solution that's immediately going to solve all of your problems. Don't try to solve your anxiety. Don't try to solve your fear of approaching strangers. Don't try to solve the fact that you're afraid that maybe other people are going to watch you get rejected. That's not the right focus. The right focus is to find ways to ignore all those limiting beliefs and to approach women that you like anyways, because the more you do it, the easier it gets.